Hi there, you're listening to Tea with the Case, where we get honest about what's hard, laugh through the awkward, and uncover the magic of real connection.
We're Kim and Kristine, and we're best friends, coaches, and two women who believe that love is not just an emotion. It's a powerful, everyday tool. And every week we're meeting here to pour truth into our cups that's rooted in our signature framework of love.
Yep, and this isn't just surface talk. We're diving deep into relationships, parenting, healing, and self-leadership. Together, we'll explore how to live and love more consciously, one honest conversation at a time. And this week, Kim, what are we doing?
Talking about response and call. Call and response.
Exactly, right?
Yep. So mugs up, hearts open, and let's talk about love, growth, and everything in between.
Yes. So Kim was saying we're talking about call and response this week. What is that? For us, the call and response is really the heartbeat of every single relationship. It's like when a baby cries, and you have to run, right, Kim? Like when your children cried when they were little, what was the first thing you did?
You go and see what's the matter.
Right. And like Kim and I have talked about this, how amazing it is. It's like it didn't come from our mind.
No, it's an internal need to fulfill that call.
Exactly. So whether you're a parent or a partner, when we call to another person, what it is that we're asking is, do you hear me? Do you see me? And will you respond? The thing that we are here today to talk about is this call and response is part of our biology. And each one of us is deeply invested in finding out the answer. Do you hear me? It's a biological need. Why? It's what keeps us wired together. It is part of our overall system. It is the connection that we all desire and want to not only survive, but thrive. And that's why the love framework is so powerful. So love, in case you guys don't know, L is for listen, O is for observe, V is validate, and E is empathize. And these are not just like cute little acronym words. They really are the essence of the love framework that we teach that really meets the emotional needs that we all have, especially in childhood. And the call and response is the beginning.
Yes. And the call and response, and this is something that we go over and over in all of our work that we do through the love framework, is that when those needs are not met, when that call is not met, that's when you can have some kind of issues come up later in life or some kind of insecurities come up later in life. And it's because you feel threatened or rejected. And everyone wants to belong. So if you feel that rejection, then it creates this little seed in the back of your mind that maybe says that you're not good enough or you're not worthy enough. And then that can play out later in life.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Like it's your brain is interpreting someone's lack of follow through as a threat, which we feel physically, or a rejection.
Mm-hmm. And so when that call is met, there's this release of oxytocin that comes, and this is the bonding hormone, the love hormone, and it's the key in our social bonding. And it says to the world around us and to us that we belong.
Exactly. And this, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
It is, this oxytocin hormone. I think, a lot of us have heard about the different hormones and chemicals of the brain, but the more we understand the reality of how incredibly powerful these chemicals are, the better we show up relationally in everything that we do.
Yeah. And, it's the simple things that release these hormones in us. Just those moments of trust, those moments of warmth and touch and eye contact that you have with others around you. And it creates this feeling of care for others and connection. And it also calms the nervous system. So when you're feeling out of control and somebody comes and gives you a warm touch or looks at you in the eye and says, I hear you and I see you, your nervous system naturally responds by calming down so that you can deal with the fear and anxiety better.
Exactly. And even, so much of what Kim and I talk about in parenting is the importance of giving that to our children, and looking at being present in the moment. And what does that look like from seeing and hearing all the different elements. And we also talk about how this shows up in our adult relationships at home or in business. And so the more y'all understand what we're talking about, the more in control you are of having the life and relationship that you most want. The other aspect about this, about first understand that oxytocin creates the bond. So one of the things like that Kim and I've talked about with parenting is it's like an invisible bond. So that, you know, especially as your kids get older and you've got teenagers, they leave your house. They are chemically and biologically still connected to you through this chemical bond. So when they go towards something that might be impulsive and they think, should I do this or not? What they reflect on is not only just the thought, but the chemical bond that's already there.
Right. Right. And so like, you know, one of the examples of this oxytocin is that like when you have a child, like a young child who's throwing a tantrum, you know, and you consciously respond in affection rather than in anger. So we, in our parenting course that we did, we call this responding rather than reacting. So when you consciously can respond to them, that's when you let them know that you're okay and you're there for them. And this is the thing that travels with them when they leave the home. This is the connection that stays and remains with them.
Yeah, you're creating secure attachment. And I
Right.
love that example too, Kim, because it also points us to the whole mirror neurons. And it's something that a lot of people don't understand because they don't teach this anywhere. But we all have what's called mirror neurons. They're right here in your prefrontal cortex, and they do exactly what they sound like. It reflects everything from the external world into the brain. So our children will actually mirror back to us what they see and what they perceive. Their body is, again, biologically wired to bond with you, and it's their body is biologically wired to absorb, adapt, and become more in line and in system with you. It helps each other feel what each other feels and develop more empathy.
Right,
So,
because it's the neurological root to empathy and validation.
yeah, I love that example. That was so good.
Yeah. And this mirror neurons, I mean, we always hear the phrase like monkey see, monkey do, and it's so true. It's because that's how we learn to belong in our community, is by mirroring what other people are doing so that they can accept you as you are, right? And that's part of the validation.
Exactly. And for
Mhm.
us parents to understand that what we're talking about is early wiring. How do we start wiring this into our children when they're younger? Because this is how we raise secure, resilient kids. And for us adults, we got to go, okay, hold on a second. You know, how do I start increasing that more today in my own body and brain to start receiving more of what we want? Because if we were neglected or we had any kind of trauma in our past, what happens is our responses later on, they get weaker. So us adults, you may recognize where it might be hard for you to respond accordingly in your relationship, to actually see and hear and empathize. And that's okay. That's okay. Because that's what our framework is for too.
Right. And these things that come up in our adulthood, I mean, it's just an opportunity and an invitation to learn more about yourself. So even if you don't have children at home and you can't relate to this in the parenting sense, you can take a reflective look at your own life and say, "Ooh, where is it that I'm actually feeling not full in my life? Where am I showing up in a way that I don't want to show up, that isn't aligned with my values?" And a lot of this mirror neurons, like how they affect us as adults, is that in a negative way, is like we do this thing where we keep up with the Joneses, right? Because we're still trying to mirror everybody else and fit into society. And it may not align with your values, but you're still doing that so that you can belong. But if you can feel these validations and this empathy towards yourself, then you can be more secure in your decisions.
Yeah, there's that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, right?
Yeah.
Why is that? Because you've got mirror neurons and it's popping into your brain, and your body is also always receiving information. And one of the things that Kim and I talk a lot about too with regard to our individual clients is we talk to them about really look at who are you surrounding yourself with. And today with technology, that can be also the podcasts that you listen to or the things that you watch. Like we both, I don't know the most recent ones that you've been recommending, Kim, but like I know I go onto YouTube and with some of my clients and we find different people for them to watch and listen to in the morning. Why? To remind them of how they want to feel, what they want to do, and to have that call and response and mirror reflection back into them.
Right. Correct. Yeah. And that's what we want to do too. We want to be that outlet for you guys, to have a positive influence in your life. And so wake up in the morning and have a little listen once a week, as we go over these things, because when we become more aware of, how we are shaped and what is driving us and what is driving our behaviors, the better we can have control of how we want to, show up.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and finally, the love acronym that we share, and it's so important and true and special to our heart. When we use it, especially in conjunction to this call and response and looking at oxytocin, we're using love to access your brain, to wire you in, to see the connection. So when we listen, what we want to share with you is it activates the attunement and the trust in relationship. Well, and that's when we listen. When we activate the O of observe, what we're doing is we're triggering those mirror neurons and the awareness that happens in between us. When we trigger the V, the validation in our relationships, it calms the nervous system, increases oxytocin, bonds us. And when we activate the E, or empathy, we deepen the connection. And it engages us into what we call the emotional circuitry, which is the wiring of all of us. So basically what we're saying is love is not just an emotion.
No, it is that practice.
Yes.
And when we practice this love acronym in all of our relationships, that's the relationship with your children, that's the relationship with yourself, that's the relationship with your spouse, it's the relationship with your friends. When we can practice this love acronym and show up with this love acronym, we create this connection, this deeper connection in all of our relationship. And it's something that you need to practice and you need to commit to, just like anything else. If you want to be good at it, you got to commit.
Yes. Because essentially what we're saying is that we are literally wired for love and connection. And if you feel at any point that your wiring is off, no problem. No problem. Yeah. We can always rewire everything.
Absolutely. And also be gentle with yourself, because we're called shift with love, because that shift is a small little incremental steps at a time. It's not this big grand change that happens. It's these little steps that happen over time. So be gentle. Know that every single day that you show up a little bit more, you're doing great.
Exactly. Exactly.
We good? So yeah, we're good. That is call and response.
Yes, it is.
As always, like if anything was stirred up in you today, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your friends, and definitely follow us on shiftwithlove.com for more insights and courses coming up.
Yes, please do. And, if this episode of Tea with the K's, where the tea is warm and the truths are real, if they resonated with you, please pass them on. And like Kim said, you joining us means the world to us, because we get so many responses and questions from you guys, and we just build upon that.
Yeah. And we'll see you next time, and just keep leading with love. That's all we ask.
Yep. Till then, see ya.
Cheers.